just over a month to go until the MLS season kicks off. We're looking forward to that. And the transfer rumour million spinning at full speed. Here are just a few of the latest potential moves we are tracking. Neymar in preliminary talks with Chicago Fire. We'll talk about him in just a second. Jonathan Bamba is involved, playing very well in Spanish football at the moment, finalising a deal with Chicago Fire as well. Emmanuel Latela. He's been playing really well for Middlesbrough, hasn't he?
Big price tag apparently mentioned there.
Got to spend the money to get him.
Show me the money.
Yeah, show me the money, because keep him away from the Premier League, because a lot of Premier League sides have been involved in him. Wilfried Zaha, he's still going, nearing a loan deal with Charlotte FC. Be linking up with Dean Smith, of course, an English manager there, and Lucho Acosta likely to leave FC Cincinnati this off-season. For more, let's chat to our MLS insider, Tom Bogert. Tom, great to see you. Let's start with Neymar. Has he seen the weather in Chicago? From Saudi Arabia, he's going to have to pack a jacket, isn't he?
Jokes aside, we did ask sources, is he okay with a cold weather city? And it was like, yeah, Chicago's a good city. Chicago's a fun city. So that is actually a question I asked. So while you joke, that is a good way to start.
Is it going to happen? Because surely, imagine when you're putting the deal together with Neymar, not only you've got to get the money out, but you've also got loads of add-ons and, his entourage and all sorts. We saw when he moved to Saudi Arabia, you've got to remember his birthday, all the rest of it. How close are they to actually getting him to sign a contract?
Not close at all. These are preliminary talks. It is obviously a very difficult and complex deal given both the financial expectations and Neymar's stature within global football. So Chicago Fire are one of several teams across the globe that are at least in preliminary talks about trying to sign Neymar. What I found very interesting in reporting out this story is that this would be for a winter move. His contract's up in the summer, but this would be for a winter move. We reported that he was still not registered for Al Hilal's league competition because Saudi Arabia, like MLS, has only so many spots you can have for non-domestic players. Al Hilal has all 8 of theirs filled because they signed another player when Neymar went down with an injury. We were told that they could change that if they want, but the manager came out today and said he's not physically ready for us to be in this squad. So that put more gasoline on a potential winter exit rather than waiting towards the summer. But once again, it would be unfair to say something is likely for the Chicago Fire because, again, this is very difficult. The fact that they are in these conversations is very important, that he is taking these meetings and considering this as a potential signing place. What I was told is that Chicago were ready to offer a package around like what Lionel Messi got from Inter Miami, insofar as a salary around $20 million-ish per year, plus some more on top in sponsorship deals. But I was told Neymar's camp wants more than that. Chicago Fire, I don't know how much more they could realistically even try. He was on around $100 million per year at Al Hilal. I can tell you that is not going to happen at Chicago at any MLS club at any time soon.
Yeah, $103 million he earned in 2024, which is absolutely insane considering the guy sat on the medical bench for the whole year. I'm just trying to figure out and understand what makes sense for Major League Soccer, let alone Chicago Fire, any other team in Major League Soccer. What's the attraction to Neymar? Is it jersey sales? Because this guy has gone through injury after injury, inconsistent performances, struggling with the national team. He brings an entourage of nonsense. So where's the appeal here for Major League Soccer? What I'm basically saying, Tom, is when are we going to get some money back from a deal like this?
Well, the appeal here is let's start with him as a footballer. Yes, all of those points are fair, but he's also on his day one of the best players in the world. And again, maybe those days are behind him, but even if he's not 100% of what Neymar was at Barcelona or the first couple years at PSG or when he led PSG to a Champions League final, he'd still rival Lionel Messi to be the best current player in Major League Soccer. What I will say off the field and getting butts in seats, this would help revitalize the Chicago Fire. Greg Berhalter has called it a sleeping giant several times. That is absolutely accurate. This team has been rudderless for about a dozen years. Neymar would really, really help in that regard. And when you're looking at like global superstars, there's Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. Those two are in a category of their own. They're both aliens, and the following that they have is like that. Neymar is the only other realistic MLS signing that would actually move the needle in terms of getting fan interest and getting more butts in seats and selling more tickets. So while I don't like to talk about the marketing side of things because I think that does a disservice to the seriousness of these teams and what they're trying to do, because I still think Neymar could be one of the best players in this league, if not the second best player behind Lionel Messi. But there is the obvious marketing type, the off-the-field type of bonus that you would get by signing Neymar.
And Tom, I suppose a more serious signing, if we are to use that word, and one that's much, much closer from what we're hearing, Jonathan Bamba to Chicago Fire from Celta Vigo in La Liga. That's one that's going to have an immediate impact on the pitch, given how well he's been playing.
Absolutely. Chicago Fire are finalizing a deal to sign Jonathan Bamba from Celta Vigo. He was going to appear in a matchday squad one more time for his club. He came off the bench against Real Madrid in real time as we're talking right now. And he scores and wins a penalty to help have Celta Vigo come back against Real Madrid, which is incredible. What a way to be sent off and get ready for your new club. So he is going to join the Chicago Fire on a designated player deal. Again, we're talking about these two things while Neymar is in a class of his own. Technically, they could sign both players, Jonathan Bamba and Neymar, so let's not rule that out.
Let's talk about Lucho Acosta and what could potentially be his next destination. One of the more fabulous players and certainly one of the more consistent performers ever to have played in Major League Soccer. I think he's an absolute superstar, and I think he would be a get for most teams in Major League Soccer. So what is his most likely next destination?
I'm not sure where his most likely next destination is, whether it's within Major League Soccer with this new cash trade rule, essentially just internal transfer system where you can buy a player for real money instead of just allocation money. I don't know if it's likely that it's going to be MLS or somewhere else because there are clubs around the globe that want him. So this all initially began with Lucho Acosta saying, I love Cincinnati, but I want to go back to Boca Juniors. I want to go back to Argentina, be closer to my family. Well, Alan Velasco was signed by Boca Juniors from FC Dallas, so Boca Juniors don't need a number 10. And now Lucho Acosta has pivoted that it seems like I'd rather be anywhere else but Cincy. So I think the relationship has totally broke down here. Cincy were hoping that things could be resolved at some point this offseason. Even as recently as like 10 days ago, Pat Noonan, their head coach, was at MLS Media Day saying, we love and support Lucho. I can't wait to see him this weekend. Well, Lucho Acosta didn't show up for preseason this weekend, and it was an unexcused absence. He's being fined every day that he missed in line with Major League Soccer's collective bargaining agreement, and things seem to have soured. It's been too much of a headache, and from what I understand, it is likely that he has played his last game for FC Cincinnati. Fluid situation, of course, we'll see. But FC Dallas is a team that keeps being mentioned to me for Lucho Acosta. There are teams in the Middle East that are interested. And then, of course, he could always go back to South America. I don't know where the most likely destinations are there. He's been linked with a couple teams, and I was told most of it was not true, not real. There's a couple Brazilian teams that he was linked with. So we'll see where this ends up. But I'm increasingly more of the opinion that he's done at Cincinnati.
You mentioned FC Dallas there, Tom. If he did move there, do you think that would be a good move for him this stage of his career?
That's a good question. So, yeah, he would. I think he'd be excellent for FC Dallas, the same way as for Cincinnati. I'm just hung up on why leave Cincinnati if it's going to be within MLS. I don't really get it because if it's a contract thing, FC Dallas are very unlikely to outbid Cincinnati on a contract, but maybe it's just he needed a fresh start. That's what he said as well. I've completed a cycle here was kind of his exact words. But again, that was still in regards to going back to Boca Juniors, the club that he loves, or going back to South America, being closer to his family. I don't really get the appeal to stay within, to force your way out of Cincinnati to stay within MLS. But again, he's been here first with DC United, then Cincinnati. He's close to citizenship. I think that would come at the end of this year if he is still continuously living in the United States. And, maybe him not returning for preseason isn't going to help that immigration case, but I digress.
Let's talk about Atlanta United. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Emmanuel Latte Lath has been mentioned, and the price tag seems to be enormous. I mean, Atlanta United are making waves. They brought in a new boss in Ronnie Dyla, which will be interesting to see how they handle things going forward. But they are making some big waves to actually make a statement season that's coming up. So what are you hearing about a potential price tag that could be out there? Is it a record price tag that we could be seeing for Emmanuel Latte Lath? 28 goals in 64 appearances, Middlesbrough?
Yes, it will definitely be a league record if this deal gets done. I was told that there's a verbal agreement in place between Middlesbrough and Atlanta United for around $20 million. The MLS record is $16.3 million, set by FC Cincinnati earlier this winter to sign Kevin Denke. The next four highest paid transfer fees in MLS history are all Atlanta United. So this is a team that is used to spending this kind of money and used to setting the frontier in terms of spending and ambition in this league. And they're very close to doing it with Latte Lath in Middlesbrough. Again, a deal was verbally agreed. There are still final details to go. Personal terms as of this morning weren't totally agreed. I was told they were close, and Atlanta was looking to close that within the next 48 hours. But there were still a couple of details to be sorted and finalized to get this thing over the line. There are still interest from Latte Lath elsewhere in England. We'll see if there's any late breaking bids to try to hijack this deal. But as far as I know, Atlanta United are getting confident that they will set a new league record for this deal. And oh, by the way, they are simultaneously working on bringing Miguel Almiron back to the club from Newcastle. That is also at a place where there's a verbal agreement between the clubs and personal terms are close.
Gareth Lagaway working his magic.
Absolutely. So many great storylines. Well, if Neymar would get butts on seats if he goes to Chicago Fire, Tom Bogert gets butts on seats for everyone watching Scoreline. Thanks so much for your insight. As always, we'll speak to you very soon.